Hi everyone, it's Karen here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a brand new video tutorial with another quick and simple art journaling page that I created using visible image stencils and stamps. I'm working in my 6x6 disc-bound Joggles art journal, which I really love to use, and I made this really simple by using distressed oxide inks as my background. The first thing I did is I took out the pages out of my disc journal. Now the point that I wanted to do is that I wanted to create a double art journal page in between two other art journal pages. So I knew that I didn't want to ruin the back. So that would mean that I would have to use mediums that are not too wet. That way they don't seep through the paper. Even though this is a very thick watercolor paper, I didn't want it to seep onto the other side. So I use things like distressed oxide inks, which I can control easier than sprays. I took 4 different colors of distressed oxide inks and the Fibres stencil from Visible Image as well. This is the perfect stencil to create a really textured background, and I specifically wanted to use this one because it kind of looked like fiber optic strings and it went perfectly with the eye theme. So all I did is I took the distressed oxide inks and I started applying them on top of the stencil. I used a blending tool from Holtz and just applied them across the layout of my 6x6 journal. I love working in my 6x6 journal because it's a small enough space that you can create really nice things and you don't have to fill it up too much. And I just used different colors to go across because I wanted to create kind of a rainbow effect with the colors that I had. A good tip to do when you're applying ink over a stencil is to dab it across. That way the sponge doesn't go in between the stencil and the pattern doesn't get ruined. So all I did is just create colorful patterns across until I filled the page. The nice thing about using inks is that it doesn't get too wet, and that way you can really control what you're applying. And with distressed oxide inks, or even with distressed inks, you can still add a little bit of water, but it will not soak the whole paper. I chose colors that specifically matched some of the stains that were already in the background because I had stains already in the background from the previous art journaling pages that had seeped through from the other side. I took a spray bottle and just added a few splatters of water on top of the inked area and then just took a wipe and removed the excess. That way it created a really cool texture in the background. I used the same stencil to create the same matching pattern on the other side. I used 4 different distressed oxide inks and I will list all the colors below. I used the ones from the 3rd bundle because I haven't received my 4th bundle yet. But some of these I had not used yet because they were still in their packaging, so I figured it would be a great idea to use these before receiving the next bundle. I hate buying things and not using them, so I really thought I should use colors that I already have, that I had purchased and were just sitting there. One important thing that I wanted to create is some movement in the background. So that's why I thought the stencil would be perfect. It really looked to me as some kind of fibers that kind of look like the ones that we have behind our eye. So I thought they would be perfect for the eye stencil. To create the illusion that the pages are together, I took the stencil and placed it in the middle of the 2 pages where the 2 pages join. And I created some more fibers going around with the different colors to create the same fiber illusion as it goes from one page to the other. Then I sprayed the other page as well with a few splatters the same way I had done with the other side to create the same textured pattern. Since the stencil was also 6x6, it didn't actually cover the whole page. So what I did is I took some black soot distressed oxide ink and I dabbed it around the edges of the art journal to create a really nice border. I always like framing my art journal pages. I'm working on top of the Holtz glass mat, and I use the white part of the glass mat to dab everything around because it's so easy to clean afterwards. Then I took the spray bottle again and created the same watery pattern on top of the border as well, so the texture would be even all around. For my focal point, I really wanted to use this eye contact stencil from Visible Image. I've been eyeing this stencil for a long time, no pun intended, and I knew that I wanted to do something with this focal image. Now, I could have used the actual stamp that has the eye, but I really wanted to have two eyes, one on each side, and I knew that with the stencil I could flip the image and have it also on the other side. So I took the black soot again, and using the stencil I created the eye outline. To do this, I dabbed the blending tool on top of the stencil. That way it doesn't run underneath. Like I had mentioned before, it's much better to dab it than to actually rub it on top of a stencil. So this way I was able to create the whole eye image on one side, and I thought it looked amazing. Then I cleaned the stencil and I flipped the image to the other side and did the exact same thing on the other side. I created the other eye. That way the two eyes are perfect. Now I know that when you're painting, no two eyes are perfect, but in this case it's an art journal page and I just really wanted to be impactful. So I decided to do them both the same. In order to add some more texture, I took a stamp by Visible Image. It's called Where Dreams Take You, and it also has the same eye image on it, but instead of using the actual eye, I took one of the stamps that says Vision from the set and I started stamping it on the border of my art journal page. I stamped it randomly all around, not caring that not all the words are there. So that way it would look very distressed. So I went all around creating a really nice vision-like images that looked more like writing. And that helped create and enhance the border. As I said at the beginning, I really wanted to keep this page quite simple and make it really easy to recreate. I did make a little mistake on the left eye afterwards, but I just retraced the stencil again. But you might not notice the difference. All I did after I finished stamping is I placed the double page back into the journal in between the two other art journal pages. And that way it fit perfectly in the middle of it. So when I'm flipping through the journal, I don't have mistakes or even stains on the other side. And this looks really cool. This is why I love this art journal so much, because you can remove the pages and work flat on them on your surface. And you can also work on the back of the journal pages. So it's really good and it's really easy to use, because when you're inside a book in your art journal, it's really hard not to have things seep through the binding of the book. And in this case, you can remove the pages and work behind them. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. For more inspiration, subscribe to my channel and visit me on my website. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Bye.